It's the Growing for Market podcast.
I just want to encourage people to start farm stores because it has been really awesome for our farm. Like, it's a front door. It has increased our overall sales volume as a business. And I think there's just a lot of opportunity. Young consumers in particular, they don't want to go to a big box store. They want to shop local. They want to have like a unique experience. Seniors love our farm store because it's just like, a nice place it's more accessible. Our aisles aren't so long. It's like, it's compact and friendly and warm. So I don't know. I think there should be more farm stores, and maybe something that additional farms should consider taking on. Of course, any new thing is a risk, but I think really consumers are responding very positively.
Hello, and welcome to the Growing for Market podcast, where we talk about growing, marketing, and the business of growing flowers and vegetables for local markets. I'm Andrew Mefford, your host and the editor of Growing for Market magazine, proudly celebrating 35 years in 2026 as the magazine by and for vegetable and flower market farmers. If you're enjoying the podcast, just wait till you see the magazine. Go to growingformarket.com for more. Also, if you could give us a follow and a rating, it really helps other like-minded people find the podcast. And now, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors. It's with their generous support that we can bring you the podcast for free. If you grow for market, you know performance is everything. That's why so many farmers are turning to Burpee's Farmers Market. Dedicated to professional growers, Burpee is now offering non-GMO seeds in larger quantities, bred and selected for standout flavor, strong yields, and the kind of visual appeal your customers crave. All farmers market varieties are trialed at Burpee's Research Farm in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, where expert horticulturalists test for germination rate, vigor, disease resistance, high yield, and consistency, things that make a difference in the field and to your bottom line. The seed assortment includes USDA certified organic varieties, Burpee bred classics, heirlooms, and exciting new introductions. Burpee's been doing this for 150 years, and they're still creating new varieties with growers like you in mind. You can check out the full lineup at burpee.com/farmersmarket. That's burpee.com/farmersmarket.
Kate here from Foraged and Sown.
Tanner Johnson, Theo's Harvest.
Emily at Frayed Knot Farm.
David Morkel from Morkel Meadows.
Having healthy transplants is really important.
And since we started using tilth, our plants look so much better.
Year after year, just makes everything easier.
The release of the nutrients in the compost base, we find the amount of juice perfect.
They're coming out of the nursery so much faster.
Germinate well, but also build really healthy rootstock.
Healthy plants, whether they're just staying in the cell trays for a couple of weeks, or if the plants are staying in pots for a couple of months.
We are able to have a little bit more flexibility in when we get the transplants out. Seedlings can last a lot longer in the trays without having to add fertility.
I just can't say enough.
And that's what tilth soil is for us, is it's that top tier tool, and it's been exactly what we need it to be. It's been forgiving. It's been scalable.
It's just been a great partnership.
It's been a total game changer. We're super grateful for the work they're doing at Tilth.
Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming Lindsey Lusher Shute to the Growing for Market podcast. Lindsey co-founded the National Young Farmers Coalition in 2010 and led the organization as executive director for a decade, which saw the organization grow from a few volunteers into a nationwide network with 40 chapters in 28 states. She is also the founder and CEO of the Farm Generations Cooperative and co-owner of Hearty Roots Community Farm in Claremont, New York. Lindsey has been on the podcast before. She was in episode 95 back in 2024, so check that out if you want to know more about all that stuff, because today we are here to talk about work Lindsey has been doing with improving point of sale for farmers. With farmers market season right around the corner, and I know many of you with winter markets never stopped, it seemed like a timely topic. So without further ado, welcome back to the Growing for Market podcast, Lindsey.
Thank you, Andrew. It's great to be back.
Yeah. Okay, so we're here to talk about your farm store, but first, can you tell us a bit about your farm, like what you grow, who you sell to, and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Hearty Roots, this is our 22nd year. Hard to believe. So yes, we're located in the Hudson Valley, about 100 miles north of New York City. And we primarily sell CSA shares. So we bring those CSA shares, we sell on the farm. Our local neighbors come to pick up. We also deliver regionally, and we also deliver down to New York City a couple of times a week. So that's kind of like the foundation of our farm. But over the last 10 or so years, we have also developed a farm store on site. When we purchased our farm, the land where we are now in 2012, it came with the barn that used to be a very popular farm store. So even though that wasn't really like in our business plan, it was something we kind of had to do because it was a farm store on a main road. So we taught ourselves how to farm store. So that's been an adventure as well. But yeah, so we grow organic vegetables. We right now have about 300 acres under management, but obviously that is not all for crops. We also have sheep for lamb, we raise pigs, and we have some goats that really don't provide any value to us other than frustration. Yes, so that's our farm. We're primarily an organic veg farm.
Okay. So if there was already a farm store there, once you bought the farm, did you have people showing up like who are used to coming there for the old farm, or were they like...
It hadn't been a farm store for, when we got it, at least 5 to 10 years, because there was like an owner between us and the owners, the farmers, who really made it an active store. But people did come, and they were not necessarily wanting to shop because it was quite obvious at that point that you could not shop, but they would like make us feel guilty. Like, where's the farm store? When are you going to have the farm store? And they would tell us stories about the fries that they used to get at the old farm store and how wonderful it was after Little League to go to this farm store. So we were kind of like guilted into it on some level. Also, we would do CSA distribution from the farm store. People would come and to pick up their CSA shares. And they would often think, because of how the CSA shares were displayed, that it was an open store. And so they would say, can I buy something? And it was kind of an awkward situation to be like, not really. You can subscribe. So it just felt strange. So we wanted to
can't buy stuff.
Right. I mean, like what kind of business owner are we? So we wanted to, figure out how to provide that experience as well, and that other way to engage with our community.
Okay, well, that's interesting. That's like the opposite of the if you build it, they will come. It's like if they come, you'll build it. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's cool though, because where I am in Central Maine, there's a real like tradition. Like farm stores are popular. Also, because they're like our countryside is like dotted with all these little towns, and so there's a lot of little roads with a lot of little farm stands by them. Okay, so we're already talking about it. Can you tell us a bit about the farm store? Because I know you said it has grown quite a bit over the years since you started it, like you said.
Yeah.
So what's it like now, and how has it developed over the years?
Sure. So, it started as mainly like a hollowed out shell of a farm store, like that. There was nothing in there. And so our first project, of course, was to build out the interior, which we did on barter with an architect CSA member. And we then really started slow. I mean, I would say for the first 5 years almost, and this was prior to COVID, it was a really sleepy operation. It barely paid for itself. And because of how this building sort of interacts with the rest of our farm. We have our staff, we wash eggs and do processing and have cold storage in the back. It's like a staff break room. It really just needed to be a staffed store. So we had to have someone in there, and really balancing that payroll with the amount of produce that we were selling didn't always make sense when we first got going. But then COVID hit and things really ramped up, and our sales just like went through the roof. We had our manager at the time just was very proactive, and we went to all online ordering, and suddenly it really changed the perspective from our local community about like the store that was, suddenly available to them. It really became like a place for food security, but also a place to shop and rely on. So that was pretty cool to see that transformation. And then since then, it has just continued to grow, and particularly over the last few years where, we went from being open, 5 days a week and having pretty limited hours to now being open 7 days a week, 10 to 6 every single day, except for Sundays. We close a little bit early on Sundays. And we have, 3 people on the floor sometimes on a busy weekend and a full-time manager position. So It has really grown significantly and is a proper grocery store now. We started just with our own products, then we added in some like select local products, and now it really has the feel of a grocery store.
Wow. That's great. All right. So it's springtime. People imagine whether people already have a farm store or, they might be thinking about making one. Like, what are some lessons that you've learned over the years from ramping up your farm store that you could pass on to other farmers?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for people considering opening a farm store or some sort of, farmer's market. I should say that, our first experience with having sort of that retail was our first farm that we lived at in the Hudson Valley. We were renting this farm from a farming couple who no longer lived there. But they had for years and years and years had a table outside just at the end of their driveway with flower bouquets, and people would come and just put money in the jar to buy the flower bouquets. And that was on a super rural road. But because it had always been there and people relied on it, I was doing flower farming at the time. And so then I just actually put a table out and some bouquets, and people started showing up. And so I guess I'm only saying that because I think location is something to really consider. It does matter. Like our store is on a main road and it does really well, but I know another store that's on 2 main roads and it does even better, and it's been there for longer. So that helps too. But I think some of the things just to consider are, just knowing that having a safe space for people to pull in and park and be able to get out of their car, just the accessibility of the store, I think is a big thing. And sort of more than I realized when we got into, running a farm store. We have so many of our customers are seniors, for instance. And of course, being in New York, we get some weather. And so it's just really important that they're able to safely get out of their cars and easily get into the store without any problem. And moms with strollers or, holding a small child or whatever, it really helps that we have a parking lot and they, can easily, get into the store. One of the things that we invested in a few years ago was grocery carts, which we had not had before. But just looking around the store at our customers, we had these little baskets and they were just putting their baskets down and then getting another basket to fill up. So that was just interesting. Anyways, I guess the point is taking a bit of time while you have choices maybe to figure out where on my farm could I locate this where, people can, in the case of the flowers, they could just pull in the driveway quickly. Or if, you're thinking about having something a little bit larger, really giving space for parking and, entering and exiting in as an accessible way as possible, it will really help more customers come to your store. So I think you were mentioning in Maine that there's lots of these little stores, and farm stores provide a very important role in providing food for rural communities. Where we are, there is a store, 15 minutes to the south and maybe 10 minutes north, but there's really nothing by driving fast. There's nothing that's right there in town. And so I think that's one real advantage that we have, is that even though we have very small town of 2,000 some people, we are the only place. And, people can do pass us because we're on a main road too. So I think there can be a good case for a store in unexpected places, I suppose is my point.
Yeah.
The other thing that we've learned that has been maybe just obvious is that it's very important to find a way of differentiating your store. So for us, what is it that you do and how do you make that just perfect, as good as possible? At our store, of course, we feature our own produce, but then it's the produce section is really what will make people who don't live in our community or, in our town take the extra few minutes to come up to where we are. Because our produce is We do not have wilting lettuce. We make, like the retail expectations are just higher. So it really makes a difference, like that shopability. You want to have a shopper come in and just want to pick everything up and buy it. And a lot of that is based on your presentation and just really paying attention to detail and differentiating yourself. So for us, that's produce. I think, produce is probably something a lot of the listeners to this podcast are focused on as well, but maybe it's meat, right? So we had a local store here that just had a beautiful presentation and explanation of like all the cuts that they had available with like, painted signs over top at their store. So it's things like that. It's like, how can you really maximize whatever you want to sell the most of and what helps you stand out to be like that sort of peak and exciting experience for a consumer.
Yeah, people should not underestimate the power of farm stores. You saying like likening your farm store to a grocery store reminds me, we worked for some friends of ours who are also in New York State. In fact, they were east of Ithaca. We worked for them for a year or so. And they had a farm store that was like nothing fancy, but I know they told us that the state was starting to regulate them more like a small grocery store because of how much business they were doing through there. And so I think as long as you can get people there, like farm stores can be a real revenue driver for small farms. And now let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors. It's with their generous support that we can bring you the podcast for free. This episode is sponsored by Nifty Hoops. Nifty Hoops designs and builds high tunnel systems for growers who want dependable results. What stands out is that Nifty Hoops tunnels are complete systems designed by experienced builders with the details worked out ahead of time. That means the core components are included from the start, like end walls, ventilation, doors, baseboards, and double-layer poly, rather than being added later. The tunnels are designed for real wind and snow loads, efficient assembly, and long service life. You can choose a self-build kit with guidance from written manuals and videos, or a community build where Nifty Hoops works alongside you and the project gets completed in one day. Nifty Hoops has built more than 1,500 hoop houses across the country, including many funded through the NRCS High Tunnel Initiative. They're known nationwide for predictable outcomes and ongoing support. If you're planning a high tunnel project and want it done right, you can learn more at niftyhoops.com. Most CSAs don't lose members on price. They lose them because their systems break. In a recent 70-minute panel, 3 veteran CSA operators serving hundreds to thousands of members break down production planning, fulfillment, retention, and what they'd change for 2026. They talk honestly about what fails when you scale, how they protect member trust, and what actually drives renewals. Download the full conversation at farmhand.partners/GFM and see how the fastest growing farms are building smarter businesses. That's farmhand.partners/GFM. And now back to the show. Actually, so what I want to ask, what is your signage like? I know you said that people were sort of already used to being there. Did you do the thing, like, do you put signs down the road, like, let us up ahead, or do you just have a sign out by the road? Like, how do you make sure you get people in the parking lot? That's
a great question. So we originally started with just a road sign that had a nice aesthetic to it, and it was highlighting the farm name and then and market kind of. And so it wasn't as visible or obvious that you could shop there. And so a couple of years ago, we made a big sign that just said farm market. And then, there's slats below that say organic vegetables and fresh eggs and, seasonal items. When we have apples or when we have peaches or cherries or whatnot, we rotate those. And that really helped. Suddenly, because it's a commitment. I think that's one thing that has been interesting to see it. When a shopper pulls into our store, because it's a smaller store, and I think that maybe this is just generally small business, but people don't want to necessarily take the time to stop if they don't know what they're going to find inside.
Yeah.
So I think that sign in particular was a boost for us because it just like answered a lot of questions that people were probably asking and not willing to stop to find out. But now we're like, these are the things that you can find, in this shop. So that's the sign that we have right now, is just the larger one in our lawn, but we haven't gone to billboards or anything just yet. I don't know that that's in our future.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's kind of like the old farmers market thing of like, if things aren't priced, like most people aren't going to ask, so like that makes a lot of sense. Like put the sign up there so people know what they're going to get. Cause like even if people are curious, they may not stop unless they see the thing that they would want anyway. And that might get them in the door. Probably a good idea there.
Yeah. I mean, we had people who said they didn't even, I don't know how you wouldn't have known we were a market. But I mean, it had the open hours and everything prior. But before we had the sign, people were like, we didn't know what you guys were doing here. We didn't have vegetables. It's like, okay, well, we're glad you're here. Welcome. But yeah, I think you just kind of have to spell it out. Like, this is what we do. This is what we have, and not take any of that for granted, because people, they're distracted. So have to just make it plain.
Yeah. People are distracted and busy. Definitely. Mm-hmm. All right. So one thing I want to make sure and ask you about is the point of sale system, because I know that that's something that you've been doing a lot of work on. So I guess it might be worth just asking, what about the point of sale system that you were using made you want to modify it to be better for farmers?
Yeah, thank you for that. So as I mentioned earlier, Hearty Roots, we started as a CSA farm. That's our foundation. And because of my experience at Hearty Roots and at the National Young Farmers Coalition, working with a lot of other CSA farms, trying to use software all across the country, that's kind of originally what led to Grown By. And so we have used Grown By since Grown By got started for many years now, for 6 years, to sell all of our CSA shares in the Hudson Valley in New York City. And it works awesome. But at the farm store, at the recommendation of another farmer, we use Clover. And it's a fine system, but the thing that has made us crazy for a long time is, well, Clover is not really set up for a farm store. It's like a restaurant system. And so there's remnants of like that use case, as they call it in tech, in how things are set up. Like some things just don't make sense because it's like meant to be like, the type of dressing you want on a salad, and not like there's just modifiers and strange things that are just kind of noise and don't really make sense for a farmer.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that was sort of annoying, but the bigger deal was that to have some of our inventory and customers on Grown By, and then other inventory and customers on Clover, and not to have shared sales records, not to have shared inventory, not to have shared like farm credit, because when our customers on Grown By claim a vacation week for their CSA, they get farm credit to use on Grown By. And so customers would come into our farm store where they can spend that farm credit, and they want to use their Grown By credit, of course. And so anyways, we were just, doing all these crazy workarounds in Clover and Grown By to like bring the two together. And I guess the last complaint is just that we use Snap Online through Grown By. And so you can pay and Snap customers pay by the week for CSA according to like FNS rules. And so if they had forgotten to pay online, or they didn't have their phone with them or whatever, they would need to pay for their invoice for that week of CSA. And so we could accept EBT at the store, but we didn't have their invoice. And so then that also created like another thing that needed to be resolved when it came to bookkeeping or whatever. So the sort of remarkable thing about the new Grown By point of sale system and why we built it is because it was like, let's just bring all this together. Like we can work from the same database to sell, anything online for pre-sale, meat, bouquets, whatever it might be for market, have your CSA shares and your subscriptions, and then have your register, have your, cash register for your market. And Grown By actually works from the same database. So you have your shared invoices across all of those systems. You have your shared inventory and customer lists. So now when we're in the process of switching over to the new Grown By register system, we can like basically have customers sign in. You can see if they owe an invoice, they can pay it right there. For instance, for an EBT customer, that will be like no big deal. If a chef comes in and, wants to pay for that last wholesale order, they can do that. So it's just like bringing synchronicity to all of our systems, like on a diversified farm. Because Hearty Roots, like other farms, we have all of these different sales channels, which is important, but if it also can create a lot more work if you have to have like a unique sales system for each.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can see that because we stopped doing farmers markets for a lot of reasons in 2020, but up till that point, I think we had a Square system so it's been 5 or 6 years since I used that, but I do remember it being a little bit quirky, and particularly with the EBT, because and EBT is what people might know as SNAP. It's like the new, what people used to call food stamps, right? So because we had people who could spend their EBT benefits with us at farmers markets, but then it was kind of a hassle in that we'd get like these paper vouchers and would have to deal with them separately from the cash and stuff that we were running through the register system that we had. Okay, so you brought all those revenue streams together, and is EBT, is that available to be digital everywhere? Is that a New York State thing? So people have a card that's kind of like a credit card now for EBT, right? And people can just run it.
So Grown By was the first platform to incorporate Snap Online. So that it's a nationwide program offered by USDA. It started with like big box stores, and then we had a cooperative agreement with Market Link to bring Snap Online to Grown By. So essentially a Snap shopper can save their Snap credentials, their EBT credentials on the app, and they can shop from any Snap Online authorized farm on Grown By. So yes, they can check out online easily with Grown By, but basically we wanted to create a system that would also work in person for those same customers when the online system wasn't maybe as accessible to them. So the new register system, so the Grown By Register is a separate app, I should say. There's Grown By, and then there's Grown By Register, which it's downloaded separately. It looks like Square, kind of. It's like some hybrid between Square and Clover, maybe. But yeah, so this would be like the terminal. And then you can accept payments with Stripe, which is like this reader, which is just like, tap, or you can tap to pay on a phone. But then we also have an integration with a payment processor called Fortis. And through Fortis, we can accept EBT in person too. So it's a different card reader, but we have like another compliant card reader for EBT. So essentially you can accept EBT online and offline with Grown By.
Okay, cool. Oh, and Lindsey, can we back up? I know we did a whole podcast back in 2024 talking about Grown By, but I realized, can you just tell people, like, in case people aren't familiar with the whole Grown By system, what is Grown By?
Yeah, absolutely. So Grown By is a comprehensive sales system for farms. It is owned and operated and created by the Farm Generations Cooperative. We are an ag co-op. Actually, we're 90% owned by farmers, 10% owned by our employees and our engineers.
Oh, nice.
And thank you. Yes, very proud of that. Only ag co-op of this type that we know of. And the benefit being, once you make a sale on Grown By, then you can have the opportunity to become a member owner, or when you're signing up, you can preemptively sort of subscribe to membership and you get a discount on your monthly fees. And you're also then eligible for dividends from the co-op. And you can join the board of directors. Like, it's a very participatory model to really give farmers a seat at the table when it comes to tech, which otherwise is not really made available to them. So Grown By, yes, it is an app. It's a web app. It's also an app you can use on iOS or Android. And then we have this companion app called Grown By Register, which works with Grown By. So on Grown By, you can manage your retail online. You can manage your CSA subscriptions. We have a new wholesale marketplace that we actually released last September that is invite only. And then we have this new app, Grown By Register, which is specifically for farmers markets, farm stores. You could bring it to CSA pickup if you want to bring some extra things down that people could, buy on the fly. It's for any in-person transactions. Grown by Register, it basically builds from your Grown by account. So you go into your Grown by and you can assign products to wholesale, you can assign them to your marketplace like retail store, or you can assign them to your Grown by Register account, or you can assign them to all three at different price points. There's lots of ways to configure it, but it basically gives you a single dashboard to manage your inventory across your farm, see all of your customers across the farm, all of your sales data across the farm, etc.
Okay. I don't know if this question makes sense, but can you use the Register if you're not on Grown by, or do you have to be on Grown by to use Register?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Grown by has various plans, and one of them is called Grown by Free, and you do need to have a Grown by Free plan. And Grown by Free is free. There's a credit card charge and there's like a 2% commission that we charge for any online sales, but you don't have to necessarily sell anything online. So once you're signed up for the Grown by Free account and your farm is like in our system, then you can sign up for a Grown by Register plan. And basically then you create products on Grown by and you assign them, or you can just create them right in Register. You don't have to really interact with Grown by very much at all if you don't want to. But then you can create products in Register or on the desktop with Grown by, and then you would primarily use Register. At the end of the year, you'd probably want to log into to Grown by online to get your sales data and that kind of thing. Like there's more complexity that we can offer on the desktop version of Grown by than we can in the cash register app. But you do need to have a Grown by account, but it's not anything additional other than, just signing up.
Okay. And how does the Register system handle inventory?
Yes. So let's think of an example. Maybe apples. Take apples. I don't know why I'm always using this one, but we have a couple kinds of styles of inventory, but you could do global inventory. Say, you have like 1,000 pounds of apples or whatever still in your cold storage, and you want to sell those. So you could create different buying options. I think on Square, they're called variants. So you could say, I'm going to sell these on Marketplace, on the retail sales app, or to my CSA, in 5-pound bags. I'm going to sell these by, 50-pound cases on wholesale. And then on Register, I'm going to sell this by weight at $2.50 a pound or whatever it might be. So Grown by, whenever you make a sale of those apples in any of those formats, it takes inventory from your total inventory, if that makes sense. So every time you sell a case or you sell a couple of pounds at market, it removes inventory from what you have available overall. You can also just ignore inventory if inventory is not your thing. I'll say in our farm store, we tried many times over to try to make very accurate inventory, and it can be quite difficult sometimes. So, and particularly for fresh products. So you can also sort of ignore your inventory, but if you're keeping closer tabs on that, you can actually manage it across the farm with Grown by.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Cause I know some people love inventory, and it can be handy to just be able to look on a screen and see how much you have left. And I know it also causes problems for some people. So I guess it's good that you can have it either way. Is it the kind of thing where if you have a scale plugged into it, that you can just like put the apples on the scale and tap something on Register that says like, we're selling this many apples, so you don't have to be typing in, like, I'm thinking that would streamline your market checkout.
We will build that in the future. We don't have it yet, but we do have integrations with Star Micronics already that are all Bluetooth enabled. So you can hook up a printer, the cash drawer, and the scanner, and we need to integrate the scale as well. But yeah, we're very close on that. But right now you would have to use your certified scale and type in the weight.
Okay. Are there any other changes that you've made from just like a regular POS system that would be handy for farmers?
There's a couple of things. One, at least in comparison to Clover, and I believe Square as well, the way we handle EBT is going to be a lot better. So in addition to just accepting EBT as one important thing to do, and it's something that we support, the other thing is that we have a field on every product that says, is this EBT eligible or not? Right now, in Clover at least, we can't do that. So to know if something is eligible or not, it's like on the person at checkout, or it's on the customer to know that they can pay for this item with EBT benefits. And that's kind of a lot because, EBT rules are in flux. They're very complicated. And so now the farmer with Grown By can actually differentiate this. You can apply EBT to this, don't apply it to that. And this is what you would see at a grocery store in a much more sophisticated, super sophisticated system with like a conveyor belt. We're going to give you that functionality at a much more sort of appropriate price and scale for a farm. The other thing that we're working on right now, a couple other things related to EBT first, like discounts are already something that have come up. We do support discounts, but we know, we're talking about farmers market nutrition programs and double up programs and all these awesome incentives for EBT. We are working on automatically applying some of those discounts to EBT benefits. So you get, if somebody's buying fresh fruits, like, how complicated it is, right? Like double up is not any EBT purchase at a farmer's market. It's EBT fresh fruits and vegetables, right? So it's both EBT and within a certain category.
Yeah.
Right. So like milk, bread, these things, don't qualify for these special bonuses. So that's the other thing that we're looking at trying to really implement in a way that's going to just make it smooth. I mean, I think if it's such a headache for people to deal with, they don't want to go there with, offering these discounts or just even using these discounts. So we're hoping to remove a lot of those friction points. So are working on that. The other thing that we've gotten some requests around, and we will release sometime this year, is just the ability to make a self-serve farm store. I have been surprised at the number of farms who have already come to us and said, oh, can I just leave this in my store and can people just check out on their own? And I get that. I mean, if you had I was mentioning selling flower bouquets at the end of the driveway. That was, cash only self-serve farm store, I suppose. But these farms are more sophisticated in that they want to have, leave their iPad out and have people just check out on their own, which is awesome. So we're pretty close in a number of ways. Right now, when you're checking out a customer on Grown By Register, if they're already a CSA customer or have purchased from you online in the past, they have a QR code that they can scan to check in, or you can look up their email and check in. So what we're going to basically evolve that into will be a self-serve checkout. So that farm store that doesn't want to have a staff person there, or that doesn't make sense for them, they can basically provide a service where the customer can come in, scan their QR code, and then they can check out, or they can check out as a guest alternatively too. But the nice thing is if the customer can check in, if they have farm credit or something like that, like a spend down CSA is a good example of when farms might use that, then the self-serve farm store will basically facilitate that as well.
Oh, cool. Okay. So customers would have a little key fob or something. It would be like the gym where you have a little thing and
it's already on the app. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't need a fob. They just need their phone.
Okay.
If they forget, so Grown By is a consumer app as well as a farmer app. So as a consumer, you can shop on the app. You can see what farms have available nearby. It's really a marketplace. But when you're on your sort of account settings, there's a little QR icon. You tap that and then you get the QR code to sign in, just like on your, profile photo or whatnot. We'll also have a backup. So if you don't have the app on your phone or whatever, you can just, send a text to yourself and we'll send you your QR code. But yeah, it's all phone based. So no additional technology is necessary.
Okay. And so whether people are doing in-person transactions or self-serve. It's like, what's the equipment? It's because I see the thing behind you, and that's actually an iPad in a holder, right? That's not
right.
not a computer or terminal. Okay, so well, you just tell me, what is the hardware then, and would it be different whether it were self-serve versus like with an attendant, or but what's the hardware like people are looking at? And I guess the question is, does it differ whether they're doing self-serve, which is self-serve versus in-person attendant sales?
So this is an iPad with in a stand. We have a setup with a company in Texas called Freeform Made. So these are like nice little wooden, very aesthetic stands, and you can have your farm logo put on the back there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so you need a tablet. You can install Grown By on any Android or Apple tablet, or you can install it on like a mobile device on a phone. If you're using it with a tablet, you need to have some means of receiving payment if you want to accept credit cards. So Stripe has these M2 readers. If you already own one, you can just use that. Even if you've used it with a different company, we reprogram it for Grown By in your existing Stripe account. So you do need an external reader. This does not do EBT. Stripe does not accept EBT. If you want to accept EBT, you need to get something a little bit more substantial. So this is a reader from PAX that is through our processor Fortis to accept SNAP dollars. So it just depends. However, if you install Grown By on a mobile device, there's a new technology in mobile phones called tap to pay. And so it's like Square. You don't need anything else. I mean, you can have this if you want it, but basically when you get to the final checkout screen, you just click tap to pay, and then the shopper taps their card right to the phone and it receives payment. Eventually iPads will have that too, is my understanding, but most of them do not as of now. So we're saying you should get an external reader. I would think at most self-serve farm stores, you'd want to give people a larger screen to check out. Having a mobile phone just like sitting there would seem a little strange. So this, provides a more formal setup. It's also more secure because you could screw this to the, you can secure your tablet for one thing in the stand, but also you can like secure the stand to a table, which might be a good idea.
Yeah.
And then the other things we have here are these Star Micronics accessories. So one of the things that we learned, a lesson learned at our farm store was like, the scanner is king. We have 4,000 products in our inventory at our farm store. Yeah, right? It's crazy. We're not selling 4,000 products in our store, but that's like over time how many different products we have sold. And
yeah, it's probably different lines for different sizes and stuff. Like I realize how that stuff builds up. Yeah,
it adds up really quickly. So, like jams, like this is a good example. This is blackberry jam from BFK Kitchen. It's an awesome local brand here in the Hudson Valley, and they have a code, right? So we probably sell 10 different varieties of these jams. And it's just very time consuming to try to find, is it blackberry? Is it, mixed berry, whatever. Like it speeds up checkout significantly. But yeah, so you don't need these things, but you can offer, you can have a more complete setup if that makes sense to you. We also have a locked cash drawer. You can't see it. It's right behind me, but it pops open for cash transactions. So it keeps that drawer secure and locked if you want to support cash. And then it pops open if the customer would want to pay with cash. One of the things we will definitely configure is you don't have to accept cash at your farm store. If you don't want to leave cash out, you can just do credit.
Yeah. Well, you never know. I mean, I know some people do. I know like there's all different ways of, some people are just trusting and some people have various, like secured things that are metal that you can put cash into. And I seem to remember one farm put it like had a on-farm iPad or farm store iPad that wasn't maintained, writing like, don't steal our iPad, go steal one from Walmart or something like that on the back, which for audience and lawyers, I am not advocating you steal anything from Walmart or anybody, but like, I don't know. I like to think that I think most people are pretty trusting, but then there's like, you got to think about the whole security aspect too. So
yeah, I think most people, or I've at least, from the farms I've spoken with, most farms are going to have a security camera or something in the store also to provide some monitoring for that kind of thing. Yeah, I think it's unlikely to happen, but yeah, it's important to think about security as well.
Yeah, I don't like to think about people ripping off farm stores, but I know, unfortunately, we know what happens. So it's probably you don't want your iPad walking off.
No, absolutely not.
Yes. Well, I do have a couple other questions for you, but is there anything else that you want to say about the functionality or anything about Register before we move on?
Well, one thing to point out about Register is that it is in beta right now. So we just released it a couple of weeks ago, and through June 1st, it's actually free for farmers to use, with the caveat that we want some feedback. We last year released Grown by Wholesale, which is a wholesale online marketplace. And for the first time, we really had like a lengthy beta testing process and in that instance, it was members only. And so a few members took us up on it, and and this kind of happened just by mistake because a few members were just very persistent, like, we want to use wholesale. Could you please let us use this thing? And so we just gave sort of access to these members, and they gave us amazing feedback on this application. And we really were able to improve it before it was released more broadly. So the same thing is really true with where we are with Register right now, is that we welcome farms to use it, and also are hoping that as it's totally functional right now, but as you're using it, if you think of good ideas, please let us know if you find, and this is true after it's released as well. But, this is kind of our moment of collaboration with the farm community in particular, where we're really hoping that people will give us feedback on how it's working at market, farm stores, et cetera.
Yeah, I can see how that would be useful. We just launched a brand new website here at Growing for Market, and I wish we could have beta tested it before we launched it. I don't think there was really any way. So we got lots of, I don't know what you call it, alpha testing. We had to like put it out there in the world, and people have been telling us what hasn't been working. So I think we got a handle on it. We're down to squashing small bugs now. I think we got all the big bugs, but I can see how that would be handy to have beta testing. And now let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors. It's with their generous support that we can bring you the podcast for free. Farming is hard. Running it shouldn't be. Tend helps you plan your season, map your farm, and track every task from seed to sale. No spreadsheets, no guesswork, just seamless workflows. Tend is the all-in-one farm management platform that brings together planning, field mapping, fulfillment, real-time inventory, sales, labor, traceability, and accounting in one easy platform. Built for small market gardens, CSAs, and large diversified farms. Get started with a free account at tend.com. That's TEND.com. No credit card required. Seven Springs Farm Supply has been the market gardener's supply company for over 30 years. Their catalog includes a complete selection of organic fertilizers, pest and disease controls, growing mixes, and cover crop seed. Their experienced team is ready to help you problem solve and find the right solution for your farm and your goals. Seven Springs is committed to providing growers with superior products and service because they understand that their success depends on your success. Request a free paper catalog and learn more at sevenspringsfarmsupply.com. Seven Springs Farm Supply, the market gardener's supply company. And now, back to the show. And actually, I'm glad you brought up the wholesale element, because that was the other thing that I wanted to ask you about, because I realized I think you launched wholesale since the last time we talked.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Yeah. So Grown by Wholesale, it works from grownby.com. So it works, from your Grown by account, but it is a different website. It's wholesale.grownby.com is the site. And essentially it is invite only. So over time at Grown by, we would receive requests from farms like, I don't want my, regular retail consumers to see my wholesale prices. Like they want to keep those private. And so we figured out some workarounds, private sort of pages and that kind of thing, but it wasn't really right for the chef, a chef who needs terms, who might have like multiple people who need to be on the same account to purchase something. So we received a local food promotion program grant from USDA, and we worked with the Culinary Institute of America to build like a proper wholesale marketplace for farms. So essentially what you can do as a grown by farm, you can, like with Register, you can add products that are for wholesale, and then you assign them to your wholesale shop. And then you can invite whomever you want to shop from you on wholesale. And the sales process is just a little bit different. Like every order that comes in, you approve and then you fulfill, or, whatever. There's like a whole sort of setup that makes a little bit more sense for wholesale sales. And then you set your terms. And actually, one of the cool things about it, compared to a lot of farms, and including ours, have used QuickBooks invoices for payments, which of course is like very handy if you're using QuickBooks anyways. But one of the challenges is because QuickBooks isn't like integrated into like the order itself, it's not, and like a payment type, it's not necessarily going to be able to quickly, or it's not going to be able to charge basically. So because the chef is checking out on Grown By and we control the invoicing system ourselves, we charge the chef when the invoice is due. It's not, they don't have to go into their email and like find the QuickBooks invoice and pay that invoice. They just get charged ACH or credit card. So like that is awesome.
That's really nice. Yeah.
It's a big difference. As from running the farm store, we buy from lots of different distributors and bakeries and other farms and whatnot. And it is just super time consuming to go in and like pay those invoices. And, it's just very easy. Like somebody would write and say, what about this invoice from 5 months ago? And I just missed it in my email inbox because it's amongst many others. And so the nice thing about Grown By is like, the buyer is just automatically charged. They can do an offline payment too, which is, and they would have a little bit more flexibility there. But anyways, it takes care of that. The other thing it does is it allows for chefs to sort of have an account as well. So like the chef can have an account, their sous chef can have an account, the accountant can have an account, like for a restaurant, for instance. And so they can all go in and buy with the same account. And that is really helpful as well. So we're like representing the chef a bit more than we were with Grown By, which is like retail, assuming that it's, one person making the purchases.
Oh, cool. Can you have multiple different wholesale accounts from your own farm account? Like what I'm thinking is, what if you want different pricing for a restaurant that tends to buy partial cases versus a natural food store that's only buying full cases, and you might want to give them a little bit more of a discount if they're limited to like full case purchases or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, you can offer different case sizes at different prices, which would be one way to, and have a minimum would be a possibility. You can also offer like customer-based discounts would be another way to handle that.
Oh, yeah,
but
okay.
yes, yeah. You can definitely, customers that are at volume, you might need to give them a unique price point. You can also make a private page within wholesale if you just want certain products to be seen by certain wholesale customers. I mean, the list goes on and on of the things that, once you put it out there, it's like, oh, but I want, these other things. So anyways, yes, you can do most everything you need to with a wholesale setup.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I can see all that being very handy for a lot of people. All right, well, that's really the questions I had for you today. I think we covered everything pretty well, but I did want to give you a chance to tell if there's anything else I should have asked you or that you'd like to say before we let you go.
Yeah, I think the main takeaway is, well, I mean, obviously we would love to introduce ourselves to any farm who's interested in, being part of a co-op and improving the efficiency of their farm with technology. Like we're here, that's what we do. And the more farmers that are part of Grown By and Farm Generations, like the better, the stronger we are, the more tech and more innovation we can provide to the farm community. And also I just want to encourage people to start farm stores because it has been really awesome for our farm. Like it's a front door. It has increased our overall sales volume as a business. And I think there's just a lot of opportunity. Young consumers in particular, they don't want to go to a big box store. They want to shop local. They want to have like a unique experience. Seniors love our farm store because it's just like, a nice place it's more accessible. Our aisles aren't so long. It's like, it's compact and friendly and warm. So I don't know. I think there should be more farm stores, and maybe something that additional farms should consider taking on. Of course, any new thing is a risk, but I think really consumers are responding very positively.
Yeah. Honestly, I think my idea of how much volume a farm store can do has come a long way. Like after hearing yours, and we had Brian Bates from Bear Creek Organic Farm on. It's maybe by the time this podcast comes out, maybe like a month or two back, but he had a really great story talking about how they built their farm store. Like they were mostly wholesaling, and then they built their farm store and it really took off and has ended up dwarfing the wholesaling that they were doing. And they sell a lot of their own stuff through their farm store, and they also buy stuff from other farms. I mean, it sounds kind of similar to what you and a lot of other people are doing, is supplementing what they grow with stuff that they can get from other people. And, I think it can work really well either way. I know some people just do producer only. Some people sell other stuff. Like I used to work for a farmer who bought in a lot of stuff, and his theory was like, I'd rather get that dollar than the grocery store. And
totally. Yes.
And I think however people decide to approach it, I agree. Like there's farm stores can be really great, especially if you have a good location, but either way, you can also kind of like try to make it into a location. So yes,
destination.
Make it a destination. Don't underestimate the power of farm stores. And okay, so I think that was really good. But where can people find you online or social media or wherever you want people to look you up?
Right. So we are grownby.com, and on social media, we are Farm Generations Co-op or Grown By App. So just look up Farm Generations or Grown By. You can see it behind me if you're looking at the video, GROWNBY. And either will lead you to our website, or you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. We also have a Grown By Farmers group on Facebook where farmers ask questions and trade tips on using Grown By.
Okay, cool. And people can beta test until, what did you say, till June for free?
That's right, through June 1st.
Okay, so folks, that's your opportunity to try it out and send Lindsey a note and tell her it's great, or what else you'd like to see in it.
What you want to see. Yep.
Okay, well, cool. Thank you, Lindsey. That sounds like it's going to be really handy for a lot of farmers, and I appreciate you coming on to tell us about it.
Thanks for having me.
All right,
nice
thanks.
to see you, Andrew.
Yeah, you too. All right, take care. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Growing for Market podcast. If you've been enjoying the show, please consider giving us a follow and a rating or a review. It really helps others find the podcast. For more tips and tricks from farmer to farmer, check out our magazine at growingformarket.com. Whether you're a commercial grower or just want to grow like one, subscribe to Growing for Market magazine for the nitty-gritty of growing, marketing, and the business of market farming. We publish 10 issues per year with articles written by experienced farmers on topics ranging from tools and techniques to farm business operations and marketing. If you've been listening to the Growing for Market podcast and haven't yet checked out Growing for Market magazine, we've made a change so you can try the magazine for free. We've added a free month to the beginning of all first-time subscriptions. Try out the digital or paper magazine for a month, and if it's not for you, cancel within 28 days and you'll never even get billed. All subscriptions get you a year of the magazine, plus 150 downloadable back issues from the last 15 years and over 1,700 archived articles. With digital subscriptions starting at just $39 a year, head on over to growingformarket.com and subscribe today to benefit from over 3 decades of writing by farmers, for farmers, in Growing for Market magazine.